I just sensed that there could be something in my family history that would be disappointing.
Negative.
Negative, yes. I thought I was gonna have that kind of moment. And Skip had asked me to do it for a long time, and I finally decided to do it because I thought it'd be helpful for my children.
The stakes are monumental. Melania Trump, the former First Lady known for her quiet elegance, has unleashed a legal earthquake that's shaking the entertainment industry. She's suing the hosts of The View for a jaw-dropping $100 million in a defamation case that's anything but ordinary. This isn't just about celebrity drama, it's a strategic move that could redefine media accountability. What triggered this bold lawsuit? Melania alleges that the hosts didn't just critique her, they spread outright falsehoods, tarnishing her reputation and perpetuating damaging narratives. For someone as private as Melania, this isn't about money, it's about principle. Her legal team insists this case is about correcting the record and holding media accountable for spreading misinformation under the guise of entertainment. The $100 million figure isn't just a number, it's a statement. Melania is playing hardball, signaling she won't back down. This case isn't just about her, it's about the broader implications for public figures everywhere. What happens next could reshape how the media interacts with high-profile individuals. The accusations are explosive and the fallout could be historic. Free speech is a cornerstone of democracy, but is it truly free? In today's world, speaking your mind often comes with consequences. Media personalities, influencers, and public figures face backlash, cancellations, and reputational damage for expressing unpopular opinions. So is free speech conditional, reserved only for those who align with the majority? Should dissenting voices be silenced simply because they challenge the status quo? This brings us to The View and the comments that prompted Melania Trump's $100 million lawsuit. The hosts didn't just critique her policies or role as First Lady, they launched personal attacks. They claimed she never wanted to be First Lady, hated her position, and even suggested her marriage to Donald Trump was strained. They mocked her White House renovations, accusing her of destroying the Rose Garden, and even claimed she hated Christmas. These weren't harmless jokes, they were deeply personal and inflammatory. Melania argues these statements cross the line from free speech into defamation. The question is, should such comments be protected or do they go too far? This case forces us to confront the boundaries of free speech and its consequences. The criticism of Melania Trump on The View was relentless. One host claimed she never wanted to be First Lady, reducing her role to mere optics.
She's European.
Yeah.
I know. It's
Yeah.
weird because when you look at her, my mother's blonde and she has light eyes and my whole family looks like that. So I think inside, I sort of knew that this was my history, and that's probably why I didn't want to do it. And I spoke to my mom about it. She was deeply disappointed. She actually cried about it.
They suggested she was a figurehead, there to look the part rather than contribute meaningfully to the administration. Her efforts, they argued, were superficial, devoid of substance or impact. Imagine dedicating years to a high-pressure, highly visible role, only to have your work dismissed as irrelevant. For Melania, these comments weren't just offensive, they were a direct attack on her character and credibility. Her lawsuit argues these statements weren't opinions, but defamatory falsehoods designed to undermine her reputation. But this raises a bigger question. What makes a good First Lady? Who gets to decide? This case isn't just about Melania. It's about how society judges and values public figures, especially women in leadership roles. The attacks on Melania Trump went beyond her role as First Lady. Her White House renovations were labeled as destructive, and her lack of enthusiasm for holiday traditions was spun into a narrative that she hated Christmas. These comments painted her as cold, indifferent, and disconnected from her responsibilities. But do these statements qualify as defamation? To be defamatory, a statement must be false, cause harm to the person's reputation, and be made with negligence or malice. Melania's legal team argues the host's comments meet all these criteria. They weren't just opinions, they were false claims intended to damage her public image. This case forces us to ask, where is the line between harsh criticism and defamation? Should public figures endure this level of scrutiny, or is there a boundary that shouldn't be crossed? The outcome of this lawsuit could redefine that line for years to come. Timing is everything, and Melania Trump's $100 million lawsuit comes at a pivotal moment for the Trump family. With Donald Trump back in the political spotlight, some see this as a strategic strategic move to reclaim the narrative. By taking on The View, a show known for its critical commentary, Melania ensures the Trump name remains front and center. Is this lawsuit about justice, or is it a calculated play to shape public perception? If the Trumps are preparing for another political campaign, controlling the media narrative will be crucial. This case could be part of a broader effort to rally supporters and push back against what they see as biased media coverage. But is this strategy brilliant or manipulative? Is Melania fighting for her reputation, or is this a larger political maneuver? The answers could have far-reaching implications, not just for the Trumps, but for the media landscape as a whole. Melania Trump's $100 million defamation lawsuit against The View is more than a celebrity feud. It's a high-stakes battle with profound implications.
And then she said, maybe that's why I have been so connected to Black culture, because it's an atonement in my spirit. And I received that. I also found out that, and there were slaves on both sides of her family, mothers and fathers, but we are 7% indigenous Puerto Rican.
The host comments about her role as First Lady, her personal choices, and even her private life sparked a firestorm that Melania claims crossed the line into defamation. For her, this is about standing up to harmful lies that could tarnish her legacy. The timing of the lawsuit raises questions. With the Trumps back in the political spotlight, some see this as a strategic move to control the narrative. Others argue it's a necessary step to protect her reputation from unchecked media criticism. This case highlights the tension between free speech and media accountability. A victory for Melania could set a precedent, forcing media outlets to tread carefully when criticizing public figures. Critics, however, warn it could stifle free speech, limiting the media's ability to hold powerful individuals accountable. What do you think? Is Melania fighting for justice, or is this part of a larger strategy? And what does this mean for the future of media, free speech, and public scrutiny? One thing is certain, this legal battle is far from over, and its impact could be felt for years to come. One angle often overlooked in this high-profile lawsuit is the role of gender and how it shapes public perception of Melania Trump. As a former First Lady, Melania has been subjected to a unique level of scrutiny, much of it tinged with gendered expectations and stereotypes. The comments made by The View hosts didn't just critique her actions, they reinforced traditional, often outdated notions of what a First Lady should be. Historically, First Ladies are expected to embody grace, warmth, and unwavering support for their husbands. They are often judged not just on their policy initiatives or public service, but on their appearance, demeanor, and adherence to societal norms. Melania, with her reserved personality and European background, has frequently been portrayed as an outsider who didn't fit the mold of a traditional First Lady. The hosts of The View amplified this narrative, suggesting she was disinterested, cold, and even resentful of her role. But why does this matter? Because it highlights a double standard that women in the public eye often face. Male public figures are rarely judged on their personal style, emotional expression, or domestic decisions. Yet women like Melania are scrutinized for everything from their fashion choices to their holiday decorations. The host's comments about her White House renovations and Christmas decorations weren't just critiques. They were gendered attacks that reduced her contributions to superficial judgments. Melania's lawsuit, therefore, isn't just about defamation. It's about challenging the gendered biases that shape how women in power are perceived. By taking legal action, she's pushing back against the idea that her worth as a First Lady can be measured by her adherence to traditional roles or her willingness to conform to public expectations. This case also raises questions about how society views women who don't fit the mold. Melania's quiet, private nature has often been misinterpreted as aloofness or indifference, but it could just as easily be seen as a deliberate choice to maintain boundaries in an overwhelmingly public role.
I have an ancestor, my third great-grandfather, immediately registered to vote even though he was illiterate. And he voted with an X, Dean Cummings with an X. And then he was threatened with lynching by the KKK, by others in the South.
Her lawsuit forces us to confront whether we, as a society, are comfortable with women who don't perform femininity in the ways we expect. In the end, this lawsuit isn't just about Melania Trump, it's about the broader cultural expectations placed on women in leadership roles. Whether she wins or loses, this case could spark a much-needed conversation about how we judge. Melania Trump's $100 million defamation lawsuit against The View is far more than a legal battle between a former First Lady and a media media giant. It's a defining moment that touches on critical issues of media accountability, free speech, and the gendered expectations placed on women in the public eye. This case isn't just about Melania, it's about the broader implications for how public figures are treated, how the media operates, and how society judges women in leadership roles. At its core, this lawsuit challenges the boundaries of free speech. While the First Amendment protects the right to express opinions, it doesn't grant immunity for spreading falsehoods that harm reputations. Melania's legal team argues that The View hosts crossed that line, turning personal attacks into damaging narratives that went beyond critique. If successful, this case could set a precedent, forcing media outlets to tread more carefully when discussing public figures. However, critics warn that a victory for Melania could have a chilling effect on free speech, potentially limiting the media's ability to hold powerful individuals accountable. The timing of the lawsuit adds another layer of complexity. With the Trump family back in the political spotlight, some see this as a strategic move to reclaim the narrative and rally supporters. Others view it as a necessary stand against unchecked media criticism. Regardless of intent, the case underscores the power dynamics between public figures and the press, raising questions about who controls the story and how far media scrutiny should go. Perhaps most importantly, this case shines a light on the gendered biases that shape public perception. Melania Trump, like many women in leadership roles, has been judged not just on her actions, but on her adherence to traditional expectations of femininity. The host's comments about her demeanor, personal choices, and even her holiday decorations reveal a double standard that women in power often face. By taking legal action, Melania is challenging these biases and forcing a conversation about how society values and devalues women in the public eye. In the end, this lawsuit is about more than Melania Trump or The View. It's about accountability, fairness, and the evolving relationship between media, public figures, and the public itself. Whether Melania wins or loses, this case will leave a lasting impact, reshaping how we think about free speech, media responsibility, and the expectations placed on women in leadership. One thing is certain, the ripple effects of this legal battle will be felt far beyond the courtroom.